Hi, good evening, everyone. For the sake of the video, I am Father John Dillon. I'm the pastor here at St. Francis of Assisi, Durwood, and I'm very pleased to have two of our parishioners, Chris King and Mary Kate Ryner, speaking to us about a very important local work, NNIA, New Neighbor Interfaith Alliance, and it's 7 years old. I've been doing marvelous work and under great pressure in the last couple years, because of changing political climate. But anyway, they'll do their speech. I told Bill just now, I'm going to top two little facts about both of them that I know that I think you might find of interest. Well, first of all, regarding Chris, the Benedictines have had a long tradition of hospitality. And I think maybe part of Chris's interest in showing hospitality to the stranger may have come from the fact she's a proud graduate of St. Benedict's Academy in Pittsburgh. And was well schooled there. She's talked very fondly about the passion for justice that sister showed, and which enkindled in her and kindled right to this day. Now, regarding Mary Kate, she and Trish Olin have something in common. Both of them are nieces of auxiliary bishops, former auxiliary bishops in Baltimore. So that's one of the things. So anyway, so there's a great tradition of service to the church that's both carry on. Just really reaching out to our neighbors and being really looking after those who are in care. So at this point, I'm going to stop and turn things over to Chris and Mary Kate.
Good evening, everyone, friends, family. Thank you for coming. And I'm happy to share with you the things we've been working with. And also, there's some tough things going on, but we'll talk about too. Just to give you, as Father said, I'm Chris King and Mary Kate Ryner, and we've been working together probably for almost 10 years, working with refugees. It was before NNIA. We were part of another county organization that lasted for a few years, and we were working with a lot of the Syrians and Africans who, the Syrians who came during the Assad era, and then Africans and South Americans, other folks. What we're going to talk to you about today, though, largely is the current refugees we're supporting are largely from Afghanistan, and that really escalated after the 2021 evacuation from Afghanistan. But first, the things we'll talk to you is our call to care, and then I'll give you a little background on who are our new neighbors, as we've referred to them in Montgomery County. A little bit, so you understand a little bit of the statistics, and then how we serve our new neighbors, and what families are currently experiencing, how you can help. And then I'd like to say a little something about the interfaith experience, because, what that's like. And I know I listened to the last two. I was unable to go to the first and second sessions, but I listened to the videos of them, and they were just so outstanding. I mean, they're really hard acts to follow. But I know there were questions about evangelizing, and also, Father John had mentioned the first one about just, respecting and being present. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We have a number of volunteers and other leaders of NNIA with us, so I'm going to ask them to chirp in. Anybody can chirp in when they want. Well, at the end, we'll have time. We'll try to go through this pretty quickly. So, okay, next.
So back in February of last year, Pope Francis wrote a letter to the bishops about immigration, which I think most of us know is one of his big issues, as it is for Pope Leo as well. And this is just a little excerpt from that letter, which I'll read to you. I exhort all the faithful of the Catholic Church and all men and women of goodwill not to give in to narratives that discriminate against and cause unnecessary suffering to our migrant and refugee brothers and sisters. With charity and clarity, we are all called to live in solidarity and fraternity, to build bridges that bring us ever closer together, to avoid walls of ignominy and to learn to give our lives as Jesus Christ gave for the salvation of all. So I think it's really a call to all of us that this is the mission of the church, is to reach out and support all these folks who are coming to our country and are so incredibly vulnerable.
Thank you. And it's not always easy work. I mean, I think I was caught when I read this by the last line, and to learn to give our lives as Jesus Christ gave for the salvation of all. It's a tough call. Okay, go ahead. So now, who are our new? I just want to tell you a little bit about the county we live in if you don't know the statistics. And I think it's absolutely amazing. You know, there is no other county in the country I'd want to live in. Right now, this is from the 2024 census data. Okay, so our key details about the immigrant population in Montgomery County, not all are refugees, but the immigrant population. Total population around 365,000 foreign-born residents. That's out of our population was 1.082 million. So that's about roughly 1 in 3 residents are foreign-born, and an additional 15% are first generation. If we just look in this, our little audience here, how many are immigrants or first generation or here from another country? Okay. And how many's parents were immigrants that you're first? The same. So you see, I think we pretty much meet the standard statistics. I have a feeling if you looked at our whole parish, we would definitely, if not even more, meet those statistics. So about 40% of residents with language, age 5 and older, speak a language other than English at home. That's a lot. And because I can't learn another language, I don't have it. Approximately 18,700 immigrants in the county are entrepreneurs. So many of the small businesses that we enjoy and see in restaurants are great. Approximately 85.9% of the county population are citizens. That is, to me, the metric that 14% of people, I would say right now, are vulnerable. Okay, 14% of a million is a lot of people, and I would say they're very vulnerable. And we'll talk a little bit more about status, what asylees and refugees are, and who's at risk. So, the state's total foreign-born population, making it the highest concentration in Maryland. Okay, immigrant workers make up 41% of the county's labor force, with about 240,001 immigrants participating. In families, approximately 4 in 7 children in Montgomery County have at least one immigrant parent. At least 91,000 homes are owned by immigrants. And there are roughly, as we said before, 18,700 immigrant entrepreneurs. I'm going to turn this to Mary Kate. Before I do, I wanted to mention one thing. I had asked Father, is it okay if we have a refugee committee? Call it the St. Francis Refugee Committee, because we do have the new Neighbor Interfaith Alliance, which is everybody working together. But there are some decidedly Catholic things that we do, and that's where I think our refugee committee here, who will participate with NNIA, but also would do some of the Catholic things that we'll talk about.
So as a refugee committee, we honor the World Day of Migrants and Refugees. The next one is going to be in September, and that's a day of prayer, support, and raising awareness for those in conflict or poverty. We engage in other parish and Catholic initiatives that are related to immigration. I think some of us are involved with Haiti, selling coffee, those kinds of things. We provide leadership and comprehensive services through NNIA, and it's when we're working 7 days a week. It's a lot. We deliver food to families. We help them get their kids in school. We give the adults tutors. We have a couple of you here tonight. We help find jobs. That's getting harder all the time. We help families get SNAP benefits, which is food stamps, temporary cash assistance, Medicaid. These are things that used to be done by the resettlement agencies, but their funding has been severely cut, so they almost don't exist anymore. So we're doing pretty much everything for families. We also take them to doctors and dental appointments. We serve as advocates for families when they get in difficult situations. And we happen to have a gentleman who was detained, and he was sent to El Paso, Texas, and he's been there since about November, I think. And he has a young family, a wife and 2 children here. It's been very hard. So we do have legal assistance for them, and we have a friend who goes and visits this person in detention. So that's nice. We've dealt with some serious illnesses, bereavements, but this is a group of people that like babies. We're having a lot of babies. And so we enjoy it. In fact, there was a baby shower the other day for one of our moms. I would say that most of our families are on the young side, 30s, and the parents are in their 30s and 40s. We also manage and allocate funds to pay for rent and other kinds of emergencies. St. Francis took the lead in that Melissa's woohoo. In our annual volleyball tournament, which is so much fun. We do that in August, and that's a big fundraiser for us. This year, we did really well with the Christmas spirit tree. We made over $6,000 in gift cards that we are giving out to our families. So, as you can see, it's sort of pretty comprehensive, the things that we're doing with NNIA. I will read the Matthew 25 verse. Lord, when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? Amen, I say to you, whatever you did for the least of brothers of mine, you did for me.
Okay. Actually, this is just a few pictures of some of our folks here that you see the volleyball tournament. You see our 2, they wear many hats. They're actually our storage, stewards in some ways. They clean up our storage facility where we keep supplies for our families and help with that. Up in the top right, what Mary Kate mentioned, we just had a shower for one of our moms. I know. And we took guesses. She was due March 26th. We took guesses when the baby would be born. And so we were all way off because the baby was born today, 2 weeks early. So it was fun. But you see there, actually, I'll point out that Mary Ellen Retchen, who is a St. Francis parishioner, is what we call their family coordinator for them. And then Marianne and Rose deliver food for them. And we all help in very different ways, but it all comes together. We're all a team. The bottom right, I'd just like to show one of our most important things to the women that we support is we have a monthly women's circle where the women get together and they enjoy each other's company. They are often home alone in a country where they don't speak the language, a lot of them well or at all. And they're with their little children, most of them preschool children. The husbands go out, can do things, have more freedom. And the women do suffer from depression, we notice. So we bring them together once a month. We usually have some kind of talk, a pediatrician, a dentist, some kind of advocacy. But we also, the big thing, and it's almost frightening, is we have shopping. So we bring things, people donate toys or clothes or kitchen goods, things like that. We have those set out, and the women go home with big shopping bags of things, and they kind of push each other aside to grab things, and but it's wonderful. It's just wonderful, and it's hosted at one of our members, Temple Beth and Me, a Jewish synagogue on Trevilla Road. They have wonderful facilities for doing that, and we've had it for about 3 years now. So, and it's a great event. I'll tell you a little bit now just about NNIA, New Neighbor Interfaith Alliance, and my role you see a gentleman over there, Bob Cook, who's sitting there. Raise your hand, Bob. Bob and I were two of the three founders of it that got together and said we really needed to start this. And that was before the end of President Trump's first term, when we thought we're going to have refugees coming back into the country. And so we put it together, and it was 3 faith communities. Our mission is to really pull together and help immigrants become independent, financially independent and socially integrated, which is a very big thing. So we help them with everything, as Mary Kate told you, from food to every emergency, everything. Right now, and this is just mind-boggling to me, we have 242 active volunteers. That means we have volunteers who have had background checks, have committed to NNIA, and they're everywhere. Mary Kate leads our educational committee, and so she has all the responsibility for the tutors, the many, many tutors we have, as well as right now she's very busy with registering preschoolers, coordinating that into preschool, because these are things a family can't do on their own. They don't understand the system. It's too hard. Faith traditions. It is totally interfaith. We have Christian, Catholic, Episcopalian, Lutheran, Presbyterian, right. And then we also have Jewish synagogues, probably 12 Jewish synagogues, I would guess, something like that. We have Muslim mosques, Baha'i, the Baha'is of Rockville, Unitarian, the UUCR of Rockville, Hindu, a new group. We have Latter-day Saints. Just now, we have a Quaker. The Quaker meeting has just asked to become a member of NNIA. And then we have various interfaith, Dayspring Church, other organizations as members. And we are rooted in our shared values. It's amazing how every single faith tradition has a value of taking care of people and caring for them and going the extra mile to care for someone. You don't turn your back. You don't live a me only kind of life. So, and we pray, we find prayers as we start each meeting that are appropriate, that are interfaith, so nobody's offended. Nothing really would offend anybody. It's all good, and it's amazing how it enlightens all of us. Okay, so some of what we told you how many volunteers we have. Right now, we're supporting 128 families, which is a lot. There are 514 individuals in those families, and we have a waiting list. And, we have a waiting list. We say we do, but then we sneak families in, as my friend Bob corrected me at the last meeting because I mentioned a new family, and he said, "Did we approve that?" I said, "No." But the need is there. How can you say no? We give individuals receiving jobs or training in 2025. We had 31 people, breadwinners, find jobs that we help them find. We put 15 people through different training, such as certified medical assistants, pharmacy technicians, a 5G training course. I think we had a lot of women take get daycare certification. So we want them to be on solid ground and work to their independence. We are, as you know, this is not an inexpensive county to live in. Housing's dreadfully expensive. You couple that with our families who have jobs, tend to have minimum wage jobs. And they're totally hand to mouth. In any little emergency, they need us. And when they just come now, we used to be at the end, we used to say the resettlement agencies will take care of the new refugees and immigrants for about 3 months. And then after that, we'll step in and help them, because it takes longer. There's nothing now. We're the only game in town, essentially. So people come, they're called special immigration visas. have still recently came. People don't realize that because they've had their visas approved before the stop of things, so they just needed somebody to bring them here, airfare. But they come without a penny, and so we provide them housing. So what you can see, it's scary to me to look at, but in February we paid almost $35,000 of rent for individuals. It's hard, but I really, by the grace of God, and I tell people I think it's because we have the interfaith word in our name, somehow we've managed. We lose a lot of sleep over it, but the people are being helped, right? So Mary Kate's team is now tutoring 37 people in English. And this is Rick pulled these. And then we deliver food monthly, and that's what Marion and Kate and Clarita back there and Rose do, that they help. We deliver food and diapers. And we deliver other things too. Things will come up special. It's a big holiday, Eid coming up for them. So we'll have special deliveries for the Muslims for their Eid.
As you can imagine, I think we've already said they are facing so many challenges. The biggest one is the fear of detention. And it's not just undocumented immigrants that are in trouble. Asylum seekers are being sought out. They don't have the same legal protections that a special immigrant visa does. So they're worried. They sometimes face inhumane treatment and blatant racial discrimination. They're now going to have to be reevaluated. Their refugee status, many of them will have to be reevaluated, which means a lot of bureaucracy and red tape, and they've already been vetted. They were highly vetted. They were just completely vetted before they got here, but this is just something that the administration is saying they have to do. Some of our men have lost their work permits and have to reapply for those, and it takes a long time, which means they can't work. So that's a problem. As I mentioned, detention, even if you have a green card, it's as if nothing protects you anymore. It's very scary. We've had many families lose their SNAP benefits, their food stamps. I don't know. Has anybody lost Medicaid? Has lost Medicaid. So, fortunately in Montgomery County, we have a lot of food pantries, Manna, for example, and we utilize all of those things to get them fresh food. But that's a problem. They're fearful of being in public. And whenever we have gatherings, like, for example, we're going to have our picnic in May, we have to be very mindful about where we meet, because if we're out in a park somewhere, that could be, a trigger for ICE. And we are anticipating, we're getting word that ICE is getting ready to ramp up their operations in Montgomery County. I'm going to read from St. Francis there at the bottom. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. So here are some other challenges that they just face on a daily basis. A lot of medical challenges. And it's not up here. The dental challenges you would not believe. Many of these folks have never seen a dentist. So they need crowns and root canals and things like that. So the state has a program where they can get dental care. But they do have some medical challenges. We have a couple families with severely handicapped children who can't even go to school. We've had a couple people going through cancer treatment, dialysis, and then, of course, they lose family members when they come over back in Afghanistan, and that's really hard on them. The family separation and the stress of leaving their family behind is really tough. Right now, the job market is not so great, and employers are a little wary about hiring even legal immigrants. So we're working really hard at that, but it's not easy. And as Chris said, most families are living hand to mouth, and many of them experience PTSD, depression, and loneliness. The isolation, I think, is the hardest thing for them. Afghanistan's a very communal society. Big families, they're always together, having meals together. And when they come here, they're not with their family. And being by themselves is very frightening and scary. And And so when we come into their lives, they welcome us. They call us uncle and auntie, and it's a really nice thing that we get to experience. Okay, so I'll read that quote from St. Francis as well. O divine master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. So what can you do? You have to pray for us and our mission. I'm not sure I know too much about the season of faithful witness. Oh, Bob is going to talk about that. Okay. Did you want to talk about it right now, Bob?
Go through this and then I'll.
Okay, sure. So Bob is going to talk about number one. So number two, get educated on what's happening around us. Our county council has been very active in creating some laws that are protective of people. Speak up when you can. Lots of protests popping up around town. And engage with immigrants whenever you can, and help them whenever you can. There are lots of volunteer opportunities outside of NNIA. And if you'd like to donate money to keep them sheltered and safe, we'd gladly take your money. It is an extremely dangerous and frightening time for them and for all of us. And I'll read that last quote. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life.
I'll just add, before we completely leave this slide, we can't tell you how horrible it is right now, that this is our country for people. In addition to having somebody in detention, they're afraid. I got a letter, and it's people who have applied for their green cards. They've been granted asylum. If you understand the system, when people always talk about illegal, aliens or whatever they call them, but people who are undocumented. Oh, it's everybody suffering. The people that came over that fought beside our soldiers in Afghanistan that took bullets for them. They're being, there's Islamophobia now, and, everything's wrong, as we hear in the news. Anti-Semitism, but Islamophobia, and I promise you, no matter what some of the congressional members say, it's not standard of these people. But the fear is what scares me. I mean, what scares them, the fear is what is heartbreaking. I remember when I was a child, because I'm older, it was kind of the McCarthy age. And at St. Boniface, my grade school, a Benedictine grade school, and I was small, maybe first or second grade, and I grew up in Pittsburgh. So on the north side in Pittsburgh, there was a siren every Monday morning at 11. I still remember that. And that's when you went to the fallout shelter, or the bomb shelter, and there was things in the school where you'd go. And I used to have nightmares about, the communists coming into our home and where I would hide and how I would and it was scary. I mean, it was real. You would be hidden, and you'd hear, in my little mind, I'd hear boots walking and things and not knowing where my family was or something. And I had that recurring nightmare for most of my life on things. And this is their reality. This is their reality. Who's going to nap? Who's going to take me? Even though I have all this documentation and everything, who's going to find something I did that's wrong? Who's going to, they're wearing these stupid ankle bracelets, some of them, that are just obscene, and good people. It's sin. With everything, we're not supposed to judge, but in anybody that has any discernment, that kneels before the cross, and that truly does feel that, Jesus came on earth for some reason for us to be brothers and sisters, this is wrong. It's really wrong. And I think all of us have to speak up. We say, I'm conflict adverse. People say that. Who isn't? No, nobody wants to do it. You can't you have to say something. You have to say something to people. You have to read and think about what you're going to say, but you have to say something because it's wrong. You can't, it has to be a priority for everybody because this is really a horrible thing going on in our country. ICE is going to be, we're working with the county closely. They're planning, they've put all these things in place. If you read about the Trust Act, the county's good, the council passed a lot of bills. But they're anticipating a huge ICE ramp up for Montgomery County because of our diversity. They don't know if it's going to be the same way how Minneapolis was. I think there were like 10 ICE agents in all of Maryland previously. They're talking about 3,000 ICE agents. All right. They're going to be everywhere. You're going to see them on the corners. You're going to see them at the schools. You're going to see them at the grocery stores, is what's anticipated. That's why we have to speak up. It's not, we can't, be conflict averse or say, I'm not political. This isn't politics aside. This is something very different for us. I'm sorry, I get the soapbox for a little bit, but maybe I'm not sorry because I think people don't know what we see and what's really going on. If you read, please read, what it is that's happening and what ICE is like and who's hired to be ICE agents, and why they would do something like that. They're doing it for the money. They're incentivized. We have people that go to check in with their ICE agent, a young man, and he's abused. When he goes in, he's not allowed to say anything. He asked, if he could, from the ankle bracelet, because he works if he could they have some bands that you could wear. He asked, could that do? His ICE caseworker, whatever it is, humiliated, told him he's a dog, he's a this or that, and they can't say anything, and you're not allowed in the room with them. And sometimes maybe the lawyer can come and maybe the lawyer can't. So lawyers are spread very thin, immigration lawyers. They can't come to all these hearings. And so it's unbelievable. So we do ask you to pray for them, pray for everything, and pray for strength that we can fight this, that we can say, no, not in our home, not in our county, not in our church. That it's a very serious thing. And I'm going to throw us off track. So I'll be time. I apologize for time. But okay, I just wanted to talk about the interfaith experience. It's fabulous. If, and I know that, I, above everybody, have been, very, very Catholic. I don't Catholic my whole life, and I love it, and I still do. It's my tradition. But it's different having an interfaith, working with other people, worshiping with other people, and sharing your values with other people. Here in all the churches we drive by, and I'm so happy. We have the one on the bottom left. There's a picture that was just so moving to me. It was at a synagogue, one of the synagogues, Reformed synagogue, and it was at our women's circle where we hold the women's circle. And the fellow there is Rabbi Gary Pokras, who is just a wonderful, supporter of NNIA. They were one of the third founder. And the women, the Muslim women, he took them to see the Torah and opened the Torah for them and let it. They were so happy and so excited, and it was so common for them with their beliefs, with ours, everything, that it was really a wonderful, wonderful experience. One of the things with evangelizing, when you do good deeds, we all know the Catholic Church we've had our issues the last years, 10 years. There have been issues, and I don't hear about those from anybody now. You used to hear about it when people, if you said you're Catholic, blah, blah, this or that, the things that made news. Now, people know us. People know St. Francis, and I've seen it on the 2 other videos, but we are the cat's meow to the other faith traditions. They just think our parish is so great. And actually, one of our Jewish friends said to me one day, if he ever changed horses, this is where it'd come. And why did he say that? It's because he was calling in the office for something, and Donna Zezzo, our parish secretary, was so nice to him. And he said he's never met anybody like that. And if that's what Catholicism is, he loves it. So it was great. But I think we redeem ourselves. We evangelize by doing good deeds. We really do. And especially when you've had anything negative happen. It's really a gift. One of the things, Vatican II, Nostra Aetate, is that how you say it, Father? Aetate. Okay. Latin was a long time ago for me. But Catholics are called to respect, cherish, and learn from true and holy elements in other religions, while working together on common values, peace, and justice. So it's all good. All right, so now what we have are a bunch of reflections we're going to ask you to do. Mary Kate will read them, and we'll read all of them. And then we'll have dialogue.
What experiences have I had with the immigrant population? Am I uncomfortable with immigrants, maybe of certain races or certain religions? Am I willing to speak and act when there are injustices to brothers and sisters? Do I turn to God to give me courage and help me do what is right? What am I willing to sacrifice to support those in need? Am I missing out on an encounter with Jesus by not stepping up to support others? Do I fail to evangelize by my lack of action in demonstrating good deeds? Do I have biases against other faith traditions? That's a lie.
Just pick what resonates with you, and would love for you to share on, any of these things that you want. So, anybody?
Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit while people are thinking. As Chris said, my name's Bob Cook. I'm with NNIA. I'm a member of St. Rose of Lima and with Pax Christi. But so I'm just touching on a couple of these things, but I just want to mention this is an excellent thing to have during Lent. So really, the thing that's probably the most pressing issue, I think, for this country right now is the immigration issue. And we believe as Catholics and everybody is born with human dignity, and we have to respect that human dignity. And that is being respected in this country right now. So this is a great way to do something about it in Lent. I just want to mention quickly 3 other things that are going to happen in the next 10 days. The Season of Faithful Witness is a group of Catholics, big national conference in December, and they decided they needed to do more things. So I have some handouts, but this Monday, people who are it's an all-Catholic group, people who are part of the Season of Faithful Witness are going to have a Zoom call at 4 o'clock. And if anybody wants to learn more about it, you could get on the Zoom call. Then on Tuesday night at St. Rose, a lot of our, fellow parishioners, have questions about, is what the government is doing, is that the right thing to do with immigrants? Is it what the church doing? Is it right? And some people are conflicted. So the speaker at St. Rose on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock is going to be Bishop Menevar. And Bishop Menevar was born in El Paso. He came with his brother in the trunk of a car when he's about 19 years old across the border. He's a great man. And some people think that, anybody that does that is breaking the law. And, but he needed to get out like many other people. And he's a terrific person. So if you know of anybody that's got real questions, or if you have questions yourself, Bishop Mendevar on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. And again, we have something on that. At St. Rose is going to address those questions. If you have questions about what is the right thing to do, Bishop Mendevar will be it. And then the very last thing, then we could go back to what we're supposed to be doing is on the 24th of March, a week from Tuesday, probably a lot of you know who Bishop Oscar Romero is. He's Saint Oscar Romero now, but he was a bishop in El Salvador, and who is smart because he stood up for the people that were being killed by the government. So we're having outside the ICE headquarters in D.C., we're having a large prayer vigil. Yet I have some stuff on. So if you want to learn anything more about this, sorry if it's taking so much shot, see me at...
Hi, I'm Harbor Sunicek, and I'm part of the NNIA, and I work with delivering food and taking people to doctor's appointments and just getting to know the families. And what I find and what I've experienced and what I said to everybody, you're all in. Either you're all in, you're not at all. We volunteering for certain needs, but we've come to know certain families really well. And the one thing you have to know is they are incredibly, incredibly hospitable. If you come to their house, even Tuesday with this baby shower, they couldn't eat because they're in the middle of Ramadan and they are fasting. But the table for us who came in as, welcoming the baby and the mom, there were raisins and nuts and their hot tea and fruit bowls and take it. We made this for you. We made that for you. Yeah, you couldn't. And they're so happy to have you there. And it's just a beautiful thing that they do. And a last thing, we had one family in particular who just had an infant that was premature. The baby was only 1 pound 9 ounces when it was born, and the mother had preeclampsia, so she was very high blood pressure. But they're also in the midst of asylum seeking, and the husband cannot get out of his ankle. He's done nothing, and he's got his work papers and things, but he has to wear this ankle thing until 2027 in December. So he's in this for a while, and they go to all their meetings, and God bless them. But I think they'll tell you they're fine, they're good. Anything you want to do for them, they're fine, they're good. They don't need anything. You go to their house, out comes the fruit, the nuts, and the tea. But I think part of her high blood pressure was dealing with the anxiety of all this. But the baby's doing very well. She's a sweetie pie, so she's getting more weight on her. But they just work so hard to keep this going for themselves, and they wanted to do nothing wrong when they came. They love America, and they entered right into what they needed to do. He had a job, she had a job, and things have gone south. So we pray for them every day. Thank you.
I'm just going to jump in. And then what I'll say is they are the best citizens you can imagine. They're family-oriented. They're such good parents. They're kind. Many of them are very educated people. And if they're not educated, they want to be educated. I was at a home yesterday introducing a tutor from our parish. She and her daughter are going to tutor these two young girls. And they are newly arrived. And the mother was just, I want my girls to go to school. I want them to learn. Because in Afghanistan, after 6th grade, you can't go to school anymore, at least now. And her older daughter in 9th grade hasn't been in school in over 2 years. So so they see the possibilities, until we pull the rug out from under them. But anyway.
I'll address number 2.
Okay.
Am I uncomfortable with immigrants? It's obvious now. and we are immigrants ourselves. Husband and wife here talking. We would want to be active with getting out of our comfort zones. We come here in this parish every morning for daily mass, the day masses. And now I'm getting into maturity on my spirituality, thinking prayers, indeed, yes. But we need some action. So now I know what to do. We just didn't know what to start up with. Now I know these familiar phrases. Roast, battery, apathy.
They're everywhere.
We know where to start. So we come approach, I know Ryner, I can be in service with the warehouse stocking in the Davidic food. You're ready.
I, Carolyn Brower, and I was thinking about the first one about experiences I had with the immigrant population. And when I first started with St. Francis, one of the groups I got involved with was the health ministry under Betty Batbars, and had some training there for some of the work that they did. And what I got involved in was a family that had fled Sri Lanka, and they were getting persecuted over there. And it was part of a few of us that became their support group. And we worked with them probably longer than we thought. And I don't remember if it was like 4 years or 5 years or whatever. They had 2 little girls, but had left everything, and they could not go back. There was kind of political persecution and stuff like that. And yeah, that took a lot of personal time. But I was ready to do that. We did appointments, also trying to help them find a place to live. They were with a relative, but it was a rather abusive situation. Helped to find a place. I'll try to get them with where we the other thing that was sad to see was they were trying to apply for to seek asylum, and had to go to courts all the way down Baltimore, and the judge that was there was the same guy every year. He was off, and for one reason or another decided he'd delay. They never ever were ever able to have a fair hearing. And so that was just sort of left up in the air. That they had to save up the scope and save for the work permits they had to pay for. Because you're right, they put in the paperwork, but for some reason, that lost or whatever delay. And they went months before the permit come in, and they couldn't work unless they had that work permit. So we saw them suffering a lot. So I did have a lot of personal experience with that. That really did open my heart, open my eyes. I'm glad I did it. They're doing a little bit better, but right now they're all scared. They're very, very scared. And the other thing I was thinking about was maybe Tony can talk about this more, but advocacy. We can all get involved with advocacy and write to our Congress people. I mean, really bright and really stand up in that way. So it's
I think that my name is Mary Ann Moore, and I'm a parishioner here at St. Francis. One of the easiest ways to get involved right away is to deliver food. It happens once a month, usually this month it's going to be twice, but usually it's once a month, and you go to a warehouse on Crafts Branch Way, which is real close to us. You load up your car with the number of boxes for the number of families you have. You get your diapers. And then you deliver to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 families, however many you sign up for. And what happens in the course of a year or two is you get to know these people. And they look forward to your coming, and we look forward to going there, especially when the kids are home, because the kids love to run out and grab the food and bring it in, because I can't lift the box. We have to take the boxes apart, but that's not a problem. You put them in bags and you bring them in. It's an easy way to get involved And the head of that committee, her name is Deb Randall. She is a walking saint. She's from United Methodist on Grace United Methodist. She's a great communicator. She will have you delivering food in March. So that's one way you can get involved. The other person makes it very easy to get involved with, her name is Sherry Nason. And she is with Temple Beth Ami, and she coordinates all the rides. So, they put out a list. It says, somebody's going to, community radiology in Albany. They need a ride there, a ride back. You can do that, it's an hour. And if you can't do it, just don't do it. But there's lots of opportunities, and I would say that those are the two ways you can get involved really fast. Very easy to manage your time.
My name is Tony Bosnick. I'm the social ministry, the director here at St. Francis. And Carolyn mentioned advocacy. Where's Melissa?
She's right.
Oh, Melissa Egan is always sending around links for advocacy, for voter voice, through the Maryland Catholic Conference, and also we have an in the St. Vincent de Paul Society. So that's a very easy way to advocate. In the past, when you used to have to get out paper and take out your typewriter and type away, it was a lot more work. Now, in the height of the legislative session for Maryland, we can get 2 or 3 requests per week. And it's very easy to do. And our Congress people and our delegates and senators will often write back to us and thank us. No, they always do write back and thank us. So I just wanted to mention that. Keep looking in parish communications and click the link when there's that opportunity. Melissa, I don't know how awful she has it in there, but at least once every 2 weeks. So I will want to say that. The other thing I want to say is that, I came from an area of Pennsylvania that James Carville called the Alabama of Pennsylvania. And it is. And it's a very conservative area. And, when I was growing up, the interesting thing is that the original settlers in the town, they tended to be Swedes, looked down on the later settlers. And my great parents were among those. They were Slavic people. And so we did experience that. Well, we just, at that point, everyone's kind of in the same boat. But, when I look today at the challenges that we face and see all these issues here, I know one thing, I can't do it on my own strength. And one of the mottos of the St. Vincent de Paul Society is be the face of Christ and see the face of Christ in the neighbors that you are serving. And when we do that, it makes it possible to reach out and to serve. Because I don't have to strain for doing it on my own. Maybe some days I'm in better shape than others. But I got to see the face of Christ and be the face of Christ so I have the spiritual strength to do what we're called to do.
Amen.
Okay, I'm Clarita Estrada, and I take number 1. I've been around a group in Prince George's County called the Vincentian Friends on the Periphery. It's a group formed for the the Daughters of Charity of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. She started during the pandemic with a group delivering food. Just twice a month they would deliver it, and by 9, it was supposed to be 3 months, and then they ended up being 9 months, delivering about 175 families. But then in January 21, then decided that there was a better situation regarding food. So she started a group to accompany families. So it is a group that just works with immigrants, vulnerable families with 3 or 4 or more children. Usually one of the couple is ill. So that's been the situation. And right now, just 2 weeks ago, I visited a family that has 33 years old woman with 3 boys, the youngest one about 3 years old. Her husband was taken by ICE and been moved to 3 different places. He's been there almost 6 months in that. They don't know yet if it's going to be able to come back home or not. Another one was deported, and there's another one still in process, not knowing what's going to happen. So that's very close. Not many of the groups that I work with are also undocumented, but there are people that have been here 15, 20 years that are hard workers, pay their taxes and everything, but they're totally scared going anywhere. To the point that some of them that are supposed to visit families, there are certain places where they are not really willing to go because they are scared, because, for example, Langley Park is terrible. That area has been with ICE everywhere. So that's another thing about the situation nowadays.
Yes, it is. You have Vincentians on the Friends of the Vincentians on the periphery. I forget how we say it. They're fabulous. It's amazing, and mostly in Prince George's County, and which is going to be hit hard too. Montgomery County may be a little harder. Oh, if there is, a brief 2-page handout on tacky orange paper. If anybody wants just to know more about NNIA, there's also a little QR code in there that you can use your phone to donate. I'm sorry to sound like a used car salesman, but the thing is, we are 100% volunteers too. So when we do take money, it goes to our families. And just St. Francis here, another, we're the greatest parish ever. I think just our volunteers from St. Francis, we spend at least 10,000 hours a year on that. And if you looked at a business, before I retired, that would be 5 man years, as we called them, or person years of work. And so if people were making, $100,000 or something, that's $500,000 worth of labor. The labor we have from the 242 active volunteers is incredible. And we can never handle all those families that we have, this pretty massive population, without cooperating with all these faith communities. For one faith community to take one family, what Carolyn was talking about, is a big deal. But when you work together and when you're organized, it's doable more.
Chris, Trish had a question. She wanted to understand how it came about that some of our family members that embrace this.
It's Bob can probably do it better than me, but basically they've applied for asylum. Okay, when you come in the country and you apply for asylum, and normally you just then go on living and you check in with a caseworker, every so often, is how it was till this past year. And now it started with to make sure they're not in places they shouldn't be. It's like the next step is detention. We don't even know why the person we have in detention is in detention, right? We think maybe he was late for an interview or something that we drove him to. But basically that's it, that it's just gotten so strict and they're so, tough. We're just so tough on them. Bob, do you want to add?
Yeah, I didn't quite hear the exact question, but yeah, things have become really difficult. So, as we say, the asylum seekers, they would apply for asylum and they would have a hearing. And especially, we work with a lot of Afghans and they would pass no matter what. But under the new administration, basically, those people are getting called back. The one family that Marion and Rosemary were talking about, they were doing fine, but they got pulled in for no reason again, except that they were asylum seekers, and there's a backlog in some cases of 7 to 8 years to get your asylum case. So you're just in this limbo for a real.
And Trish was asking why they need ankle bracelets too.
Is well, I'm sorry to that. It's basically they want to keep track of them. So yeah, there was never a problem before, but they put it on to keep track of them. And ICE has a subcontractor it's called ISAC, and it's in Silver Spring. And every time they visit one of these people that had their ankle bracelet, they get paid by ICE. So it's a big money making scheme too. It's just every week or two. And if you have, we had a family, one of the families we talked about, whose husband was taken in. They had ankle bracelets on, but they had a month-old baby, or a month and a half old baby at that time, that had an appointment for the first one. And we were trying to get a pediatrician appointment for quite a while, couldn't get it. And then they had the ISAP appointment. So we said, could they come the next day or that afternoon or so? And no, they own the people. We own you. You're not supposed to be here. We own you. You do what we say when we want. It's a really hard thing. It's just to keep track of. Before, these people would show up. These people want to get asylum. So there wasn't any real problem, but
And we had before the families that came over the border and applied for asylum from Afghanistan, and they received it within 2 years, under the previous administration. It's just so different now. It's so impossible. It's just cruel. It's cruel. And please pray, for wisdom.
Just a curiosity question. All the interaction you have, like going to do ESL tutoring and so forth, how do you handle that without translators? How do you walk into someone's home and you can't talk to each other?
It's usually the case that there's one, like a teenager who speaks some English. We use Google Translate a lot in situations where there isn't an English language speaker in the home. Somehow we get by. I don't know how we do it, but we do. Don't you think? I mean, the family that I work with, the mother, I will say I cannot communicate with her. She finished 6th grade, but didn't go beyond that. And she knows no English. She's taking a class and she has a tutor from this parish, actually. So, but it's really hard because I do everything. The dad has to do everything. And that is true. I mean, the dads have to do everything because in many families, the women have a role and they don't leave the house or they're not educated. And the kids will all speak English from learning it at school. The fathers learned it at work. And the mothers do not speak any English. That is very common, actually. So, but we do have a few people that we rely on to translate, some within the organization. There's one woman who's a mother, an Afghan mom, and she translates at our women's circle meetings that we have.
And they're getting better. The people that come to the women's circle, the moms who come, I mean, their English is improving incredibly.
It really is?
Yeah. It's good.
It's wonderful to see, Letta. It's wonderful to see the people grow and flourish and get jobs. And our first family, we had our first family buy a home, which was so exciting. That they were able to get it was, an affordable home that was, meant for people. Yeah, MPTU or so. And it just is such a joy. It's a joy to see them drive. It's a joy to see, things, the one step that they take and something different. We've seen a lot of success. It's just, we're so distracted this year, with everything that's going on.
There's a few women, and they were blessed by one of our gentlemen of the parish here that paid their tuition for driving school.
Yes.
And they can't wait to drive. And they cast their tests as they're ready. But they're just so excited that they're in America and they can.
I am so impressed with all that you're doing. I just wanted to add one more request. On the 28th, you probably all know there's No Kings Day. And if anybody doesn't know about it, you just have to put that in your search engine and it will tell you we're trying to get millions of people out protesting that day. And the protests are all over. So, you can go probably within a few miles of your own. But we really want to get all these squares covered and let everybody know that we don't like what's going on.
It's truthful. That it's wonderful. Actually, it's funny. My husband, Terry, he's right behind you, and I have a yarn sign low-key. He just concedes to very funny. But we are a yard sign where the quote from Leo, but at the bottom it says no kings. Ironically, our last name's King. We divide. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Yeah, because Mr. Aaron, that's everything. I thank you so much. Thank you for caring and for listening and for praying and anything else you could. So, God bless you all. Thank you.